Welcome to TMZ Live. Charles is off for a couple of days. There is a fascinating case, and it is going on really in 3 states right now, but it involves a woman who became a surrogate to 2 biological parents, and her name is McKenna. She lives in Alaska. The parents, the biological parents, are from California. 20 weeks into McKenna's pregnancy, they did an ultrasound and discovered that there was a severe defect in the fetus, and it involved the heart. And it would require at least 3 surgeries to correct. It's unclear if that was any kind of a guarantee, whether there would be lingering problems. The parents, apparently, the biological parents wanted to terminate the pregnancy, and the contract said that they had a right to do so. So McKenna from Alaska then flew to Texas, where that clause would not be enforceable because of the various abortion laws. And so she was in Texas as a safe haven to give birth, and she has done so. The baby was actually due September 2nd, but she has had the baby prematurely, apparently, and the baby is in the hospital, apparently still in need of significant care. And now there's an issue of custody. And the biological parents, we found out, have gone to court, and they have asked for a temporary restraining order, essentially keeping McKenna, the surrogate, away from the baby, and that they would have custody of the baby because they have an agreement saying once McKenna gave birth, they got the baby, the boy. And the judge decided that, at least on its face, the biological parents' argument made sense, and the judge issued this temporary restraining order, effectively giving the biological parents custody of this child. And that's really significant because they're going to have to make some major medical decisions almost immediately. And now, it's a temporary order. These are generally good for around 10 days. And then what a judge does is sets it for a more formal hearing where you can have witnesses, where the judge can consider everything before coming up with a permanent decision. But this now is a case involving a contract, 3 different states, and a really contentious fight.
And you also have the statement that we got from the lawyers of the biological parents this morning, where they confirmed she had the baby yesterday, it was in their care. The other interesting aspect here in their statement is they're talking about how this has become almost a political theater, because the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, had gotten involved, saying that he wanted 2 Texas hospitals in Dallas to basically provide life-threatening care to the baby.
Life-saving care.
Or life-saving care. The attorney for the biological parents is saying they feel like there's too much politics now involved. They just want to spend time with their child.
Now, that's the murky part. They want to spend time with their child. I get it. What about the care? Because this child was born with a defective heart.
Right.
And it's going to require surgeries. And, you know, these parents, and I'm not saying they're going to do anything untoward, but they wanted to terminate the pregnancy, and they were unable to do so. So now the issue is they're in control of medical decisions for the child, and it would seem that what the Attorney General of Texas is saying is, we want to make sure that they're not taking their foot off the gas when it comes to medical decisions, and if they are, we're going to step in to protect the child. I mean, that's what it feels like.
And that's what's interesting about McKenna going to Texas to have the baby, because in Texas, according to law, even with the surrogacy agreement, whoever the surrogate is the guardian and has the custody. But because the parents are from California, the surrogate's from Alaska, the agreement was made in California, it gets a little confusing. And I think that's why the biological parents were quick to get that restraining order.
So it would seem that California law would apply. There's a surrogacy agreement in place. But I will get back to this point, is that the I'm not a doctor, so I don't know, but I would think that decisions have to be made. Doctors go to the parents and they say, here are the risks, here are the benefits. Do you want this, whether this means surgery or medication or what? And now you would think that the Attorney General is looking, are they being aggressive enough to protect the child?
Correct.
Now, I don't know what the parents are thinking or doing. I'm assuming since the baby was born and they wanted a baby, they're going to try to save the baby.
Of course.
But that seems to be the dogfight going on right now, beyond just the surrogate. Now, what kind of care is the baby going to get? For example, what if the doctors say that, and again, I'm just guessing here, that the Mayo Clinic has specialists in Minnesota, specialists that could perform this surgery in the most effective way, and we should move the baby from Texas to the Mayo Clinic. And then what if the parents disagree with the way the Attorney General views it? Is the Attorney General going to step in, try to superimpose his judgment?
But can he? Can the Attorney General?
This is such an unusual case.
I was going to say, I mean, we don't cover these every day, but like the thought that these people just want to have a baby and there's now a restraining order involved and the baby came early and it's got medical needs that needs to be taken care of. I have never seen anything like this.
Well,
Very
Harvey,
dramatic.
our chat right now is kind of debating between themselves about if the parents never wanted the baby initially, shouldn't the surrogate mother be able to make these medical decisions since it is so timely and life-threatening to the baby?
See, I don't think you can fairly say that because the parents wanted to terminate the pregnancy, that they're not going to care for the baby once the baby is born.
Right.
I don't think the two necessarily connect, and that I think it's a pretty harsh judgment that the parents were, you know, you could argue the parents were being compassionate, you know, when they saw the ultrasound, but now that the baby's born, it's not that they're going to, I think it's kind of harsh to
And
put
it was
that
a
on the
legal
parents.
agreement. Like, that's the surrogacy agreement, is if the parents decide, hey, we want you to terminate the child, the surrogate then has to. She's required to terminate the child. So it's
Well, but not if she goes to Texas.
Well, of course.
Because in Texas, they're not going to enforce that provision. And that's exactly what she did. So she's had the baby. Everything is now reset. Now the question, what do the parents want to do? Assuming the parents get custody,
Right.
what do they do? What if they say, we want to move the baby back to California, and Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, says, no, we want the baby to stay in Texas because they wanted the baby aborted and we don't trust the parents.
That would be wild.
I mean,
Our chat was also wondering, since like there is this they said that if in the contract, wouldn't there be something to state that if you go to a different state, that there is something to figure out in the legal agreement between like the parenting?
well, whatever they say, if they have a provision that Texas law would not recognize,
Even if it was
then
included in the initial contract?
the agreement's going to fail, because that's exactly what happened, that she moved to Texas and therefore she had the child. But again, now the issue is, A, is the surrogacy agreement going to be honored, giving the biological parents custody of the child? B, does the Attorney General have any legal standing to say, we have a dog in this fight, and that we want to make sure that the child is handled a certain way medically? Or is that the province of the parents? C, what if the parents want to move the child outside of Texas, say back to California? D, what if the doctors recommend something that, you know, is risky, and the parents see it one way and Ken Paxton sees it another way?
Who calls the
So
shots?
this is not over. And there are some novel issues here. But the real point here is that you've got a child that needs medical care, and this can't be something that drags on in a court of law while nothing happens with the child, because the child needs care. And that care can't wait for the legal system to run its course with a complicated legal, and I would argue political case.
For sure.
And so now it's, I have never seen anything quite like this.
Jay from Houston, Texas. And historically, thinking of medical cases that do end up having a lot of political undertone to it, they do get messy, they do get sticky, they do get murky. I think this is just a downside to the baby ultimately because now the whole world, America has, a say so in who should raise this baby, where this baby should go. It's gotten too political too fast. And like you said, we can't wait until the court system handles it to figure out how this baby is going to be taken care of because this is something that needs to happen sooner than later.
Yeah, that's for sure. It does. It has to happen now. I mean, there are medical issues that cannot wait for judges and hearings and trials.